Hello, my divers, and welcome to another episode of Diving Deep with me, Des. Today I'm joined by entrepreneur, businesswoman. She's a mother, she's a wife, and she's the aunt I never had but always wanted. I'm joined by Traci Garcia-Torres.
Hi.
And today we're going to be diving into all things Traci, beauty, and growing a business. So whenever you're ready, go ahead, grab a snack or maybe two, sit back, and let's get ready to dive. Well, for starters, Traci, thanks for joining me today.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking me to be here.
Yes, so before we get into, your whole business, let's start with who you are. What were you like as a child?
I think I was, I lived on roller skates for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I loved roller skating. I loved music. I loved to paint my nails, and that's where nail painting came in.
Yeah.
I did that. I was precocious, and I was definitely someone who challenged my parents a lot, you know?
Yeah.
I was that kid, the one who challenged their parents a lot.
Yeah. How old were you when you were allowed to paint your nails?
I was pretty young. When I was young, there was this nail, and I can never forget the smell of it, but there was this little nail polish, and it was really crappy nail polish. You painted it on, it was like really thick and lumpy, but once it dried, you can peel it off really easy.
Yes, my little cousins are using that now.
Oh, they still make it. Yes. So that's amazing. So yeah, I started with that. My mom always got her nails done. So, I was following suits like, oh, that's what girls do. I'm going to do my nails too. So yeah, I started doing that, peeling it off. And then I remember my very first manicure. I think I was like 10 or 11, and I went with my mom to get her nails done. And she went to this woman who I think she's still the makeup artist for ABC 7 News, Alex, and something with a G. I can't remember her last name. But anyway, she did my nails. And, back then it was regular nail polish, right? Yeah. But she still did nail art on my nails. Aww. And she did orange with like little steps in pink, and it reminded me of sherbet. And I was just so amazed by these nails, and that was like my love affair with nail art began, because I couldn't stop looking at my nails. They were so pretty.
I love that.
Do you know the nail polish crackle?
Yes.
That's what I was like.
When it would crackle on your nails. Yeah.
Like the little stripes. Mm-hmm. Like,
my mom had every color. We would be there crackling our nails away.
That is so funny. They bring back good memories, though, things like that, you know?
So what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, man, I wanted to be a lot of things. When I was in first grade, I thought I wanted to be a nun, believe it or not. I loved my first grade teacher so much. I wanted to be just like her, so I wanted to be a nun. But that changed really quickly.
Oh, did you go to a Catholic school?
I did, from like preschool through my sophomore year, middle of my sophomore year in high school. I went to private school or Catholic school.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I thought I wanted to be a nun. And then when I was in high school and thinking about college, I wanted to be a record producer, which is so different from what I'm doing with my life. But yeah, I thought I wanted to be a record producer.
I love that. That's amazing.
So funny.
I love the nun. That's so funny. We have nuns in my town, and they're so mean.
Are they? Well,
so
my nuns in school, most of them were really mean. And but my first grade one, she was so sweet. She was the nicest one. And but like after that, like my fourth grade teacher, they were Polish nuns, and she insisted that my last name was pronounced Garcia, because C-I in Polish is pronounced like a sh, right? And I'm like, no, it's Garcia. And she would fight with me all the time about how to pronounce my last name.
Over your own name?
Yeah. And I'm like, girl, I'm Puerto Rican. Like, this is how we say our last name. Yeah. It's Garcia. So yeah, she didn't get that. But, she gave me a hard time. I got, they gave me a hard time for being a lefty. Yeah, that same fourth grade teacher would make me stay after school. Me and the other left-hander, Michael Clark, we had to stay after school, and we had to practice our penmanship. But she didn't make us use our right hand. What she made us do is, when you write with a right hand, your natural inclination is to slant your letters a certain way, and left-handers slant it the other way. So she made us practice to slant our letters the way that a right-hander would, so that in the future, if someone's looking at our paperwork, they would think we're right-handers, and somehow that would be a redeeming quality.
Oh my God. Did they ever like spank you?
I never got spanked, but I did see Some boys in my classroom got their hands slapped with a ruler. The second grade teacher was notorious for doing that to the boys.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like they're second graders.
Yeah,
they're
and
babies.
she would have you go like this, and she'd smack your hand with a ruler. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy teaching.
I thought that was a myth.
No,
Me too.
no, that was, I mean, in my experience, that happened in my school with that teacher, second grade, Sister Dolores.
Okay, so you said you wanted to be a nun and then a record producer, but then you went to Columbia College, right?
Yes.
So what did you choose to study there?
Record producing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when I went to Columbia, I chose Columbia because it was a school that you didn't have to take. I think your ACTs is what you need to take to get into college, right?
Okay, yes.
So that school you didn't need to.
Okay.
And then because I knew I wanted to be a record producer, that was one of the best schools in the city to do it. So I decided to go there. So I went for a year and a half. And yeah, that was it.
Yeah. What made you like no longer want to continue?
Well, what happened was I throughout the second half of my high school time, from the second half of my sophomore year all the way through senior year, I wasn't a big fan of school.
Okay.
And so I joined the work program, and I would get out of school at noon to go to work and get credit for that.
Okay.
And so while I was in college, I was still working for that company part-time, and they offered me a full-time opportunity.
Okay.
So, you know, being that age and being asked to join a marketing agency full-time that my mom worked at, that my aunt worked at, that my mom's best friend worked at, I was like, yes, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So I just jumped right in. I quit school and I went to work full-time there.
Yeah. Do you ever regret not continuing school?
Not at all.
Not at all.
No, I don't think. I think that in my head, I thought that was something I wanted to do, but I don't think that I was really meant to do that.
Yeah, I feel that way too because like I dropped out of college and it's like I feel like I went more because I felt like I had to, like because it's so pushed in. At least at my high school, it was very pushed like college.
Yeah.
And in reality, I just wasn't prepared.
Yeah.
So I wish I would have known that before spending thousands of dollars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I firmly believe that we push our kids to go to college because we feel like that is a necessary thing. But some kids are just not meant to go to school. There are other things in the world that they can do without having a college education.
Yeah.
And especially if you're into the arts, you know, if you're into beauty, you don't need a college education for that. You can go to trade schools for that. So instead of investing thousands of dollars and becoming in debt with that, you know, find what you're truly passionate about, you know, instead of doing something that you feel you have to do because society says that you have to do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I needed that one.
Yes. So after Columbia, how soon after leaving Columbia did you choose to go to Traci?
So that was 19 years later. I worked for that marketing agency for 19 years.
Yeah.
And in 2009, they did some layoffs because the economy was bad. Our clients weren't signing retainers. I was one of the people that got let go. And I cried for 3 days. And then I called Traci. Now, that was something that I knew I wanted to do like 5 years ago. Before that, I mean. But because I couldn't get to the school in time after work, I couldn't take the program. And I knew work wasn't going to let me leave early to do something that had nothing to do with that business, right? Yeah. So I didn't do it. And I was too afraid to leave the company I was in because I wasn't college educated and because I felt that people wouldn't hire me because I didn't have a college education. So I stayed in a job that I was miserable at for at least 7 years before they let me go. Oh, wow. But I was comfortable, and that's what kept me there, right? Yeah. And you're never going to go anywhere if you stay in your comfort. You got to take chances. And so they forced me to take that chance. Yeah. And 3 days after I called Traci, they told me that they take the students in even numbers, and right now they were at an even number, but if another student called in, that they would call me back. And 2 days later they called me back and they had another person interested, so I signed up and I was in school the end of that month.
Wow. How big was your class?
We had, I think we had 12 students. Okay. Yeah.
And how old were you at this time, if you don't mind me asking?
You know, I have to figure it out because that was 2009, 93, 83, 93, 2003, 2003. I was 36.
You were
Sorry,
36.
36. I was in finance and I'm using my fingers to count.
You're like, no.
She's like, hold on. I know, Joe. Yes.
Oops.
I was 36. I was 36, yes, when I started school, which is pretty late for that career.
Did that ever like intimidate you being that old going into that school?
It didn't.
No?
I didn't feel intimidated at all. When I got there, half of the class was like 18, 19, 20-year-olds, and the other half was like 30 and up.
Oh, okay.
So I had my little tribe of people that I could understand and who would understand me at that age.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
What made you choose Traci?
To be honest, it was that they were the closest school. Like literally, it was like in driving time, 3 minutes from my house.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I was like,
yeah,
I'm gonna go there.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the best decision? No.
No.
No, I feel that there was a school that I wish I would have went to instead.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, talking to most people that go to cosmetology school or aesthetic school or nail school, I think it's a general consensus that we don't have the best education there.
Yeah. Everyone that I know that's gone there always says like it's not really. I feel like it's more the hype of the name rather than like the education.
Yeah. I think with beauty schools in general, their job is to teach you the basics and get you to pass the state board exam, right? And what you do with those basics, and this is where you have to kind of think about it and be okay with it, right? Because it took me a long time to be okay with it. I was really mad when I left school because I didn't feel that they prepared me enough. But what I learned is school is there to teach you the basics, teach you to pass the state board exam, and then it's up to you to learn your craft and the parts of the craft that you want to learn and you want to be more involved in and you are more passionate about. With being an esthetician, you could do skin, you could do makeup, you could do waxing, you could do eyelash extensions. And so you pick what excites you,
Right, yeah.
and you focus on that, and then you can take continuing education. Something I did that someone said to me that they did to become the best was I went and just got facials everywhere.
Really?
I was like, I want to go everywhere. And I would look at reviews, places that had good reviews. I would go get facials and see what they're doing so that I could learn technique. I could learn, little different things that they did that were different than what I learned.
Yeah.
And it really helped form my technique.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. So you really just threw yourself out there.
Totally.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
It's a business expense. You could write it off.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I could go get facials and then write it off later.
Yeah. So when you go to Traci, are you pursuing I'm pursuing aesthetics, I'm pursuing nails, or is it everything under one?
So for cosmetology schools in general, you can get a cosmetology license, and that includes hair, skin, and nails. Okay. If you could do aesthetics, which is skin, waxing, lash extensions, makeup, and then you could do nails, and that's just nails, manis, pedis, and everything around that. Oh, okay. So when I went to Traci, I went specifically for aesthetics.
Oh, okay. And what made you choose aesthetics versus just nails or
Yeah, to be honest with you, okay, so hair I was afraid of. I've had the worst haircuts in my life. People, back then, no one knew how to cut curly hair. Yeah. Right?
Especially because your hair's so thick
and curly. And so they would cut it and it would go like this, and then I'd have completely short hair, and it took me over a year to grow it out, and now you just ruined my hair. So I was afraid of doing that to people, and so I did not want to do that to anybody. So I was like, no, not for me. And skin, I knew I wanted to do for a while because my mom, she treated me to my first facial. My mom used to get facials all the time. She went to the same esthetician for 20 years, and she treated me, and I was like, I don't want anybody touching my face. This is weird. I don't know if I'm going to like it. She's like, just go. So I went, I did it. And when I was done, I was like, oh my God, that was amazing. And my reaction wasn't I can't wait to do it again. My reaction was, I want to make people feel like that. And that's when I looked into Traci. Couldn't do it because I worked at the other job, but that's where my passion for skin began.
Oh, wow.
And so, and prior to that, I had taken care of my skin. My mom has always, since I was a teenager, I had really bad skin as a teenager. She taught me to take care of my skin. And so I had always taken care of my skin, didn't think it was something that I wanted to actually do until receiving my first facial.
Wow.
So yeah, then that's why I pursued skin. And I wanted to do nails, but honestly, I do not like feet.
No, seriously.
All
the time.
Yes.
Because whenever we're hanging
Telling you.
out, I hate wearing shoes. I
Mhm.
hate socks, anything.
Mhm.
So whenever we're at the house, I'll have no shoes, and I would be like, "Your grippers are out. Why are your grippers out?"
Oh no, that's so funny.
Because I know it makes her mad.
Like my daughter, even my daughter, if we're laying on the sofa and her feet touch me, I'm like, get your feet away from me. Like my husband too, like, don't touch me with your feet. I don't like feet. So that made me not take the nail course back then. Yeah. So yeah, that was sad. But I had to get over it when nail art became so big and I really wanted to pursue that. I was like, girl, you're going to have to get over the feet thing because you need to do it in school. Yeah. And then I'm like, when I'm done with school, if I don't ever want to touch feet again, I don't have to, because that's the luxury and the good part about owning your own business is you do what you want to do. So I did it there, and thankfully, you have to wear gloves, and I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
And thankfully, while I was there, I only had one person come in whose feet were my nightmare, and this is the reason that I did not want to do feet. And in school, there was nothing that I can do to make it better. And I looked at my teacher, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do here? She's like, just do the best that you can. I'm like, okay. But yeah, and then when I started to offer it here, I did offer pedicures because doing it with gloves on, it didn't feel as bad as I thought it would. And I am so blessed that all my clients have great feet. Thank goodness. I have not run into, I've run into one person who isn't my client, but not a consistent client. She's come to me a couple times, and that I cry when she leaves.
I cry.
I literally cry.
You're like, I have nightmares.
Yeah, I know. And in the state of Illinois, right, we are not allowed to use blades. Like back in the day, nail salons used to use blades to cut off excess skin from your toe. Yeah, they used to. It's like a shaver, like a grater, right? Yeah, and first of all, you have to be really careful with that, because if you cut somebody's skin, then it's just a nightmare.
That's the whole thing.
But but for some people, no amount of filing is going to help the amount of buildup that they have on their feet. So, I don't know what to do about that. So I do the best that I can and pray that they are happy with their service. But yeah.
That's so a question about that.
Yeah.
So are you required to do feet during those classes? Because obviously when you have your own business, you can choose not to offer pedicures. But during those classes, are you required to?
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole point, is you're supposed to be able to do everything, right? They have to teach you to do everything. So you have to do it. And the way that the schools that I went to and talking to other people, I believe it works the same way. You get sign-offs. So that means you get a sheet of paper at the beginning of your school year that says you need to perform 35 pedicures, 50 manicures, 45 gel manicures, 15 acrylic nails. Like, it'll tell you all the things you need to do. And every time you do one, they sign it off that it's been completed, right? Same thing with skin. You had to do, 15 hydrofacials, 15 acne facials, all of these things, 15 eyebrow waxes, all of that kind of stuff. So you have to fulfill all of those before you finish school. You can't graduate without fulfilling that required number of services.
Because that's how you get like your hours too, right?
Yeah. Every hour that you're in school is considered an hour. So you do sign in like a job. You punch in and punch out, so they know how many hours you're getting. And everybody sometimes finishes school at a different time because some people miss a day or whatever. So we all finish differently. But the sign-offs are separate from hours. So like if you don't get all those sign-offs, but you did all your hours, you still have to finish those sign-offs. So now you're putting in more time.
Oh,
So that's why schools encourage you to bring your friends and family in, right? Like they pay a model fee, and it's like really inexpensive. They come in and they can help you fulfill your services so you can be done with them faster.
Oh.
So yeah, my friends and family love that part.
Yeah. So I feel like I always hear that cosmetology schools can be very catty. Did you ever experience that at Traci?
I didn't experience cattiness there. There, we had, now imagine this, you have 12 girls in a classroom, half are mature women and the other half are girls right out of high school, right? The difference is like, you can tell, right? And that was hard dealing with, as an adult, and you have these young girls who are not responsible for cleaning up their spaces, who are cutting things out of their facials to hurry up and finish it so that they can get a sign off, right? And they're working on you, right? So they're working on me, they're giving me a facial, and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna skip the massage. I'm like, no, bitch, I came for the massage. What do you mean? Like, no. No, I want the massage. So, stuff like that was a little annoying. But other than that, I can't say it was catty. I didn't experience any of that, and I didn't see it. So
that's good.
Yeah, doesn't mean it didn't happen, but not around me.
Would you say you had like a good overall experience, like good instructors and stuff?
I will say that my immediate reaction to leaving Traci was disappointment.
Yeah.
We went through 3 teachers, and it took a while for me to understand that maybe having 3 teachers was better than having one, because I learned 3 different styles, right? But in the moment, I didn't feel that way. I was upset that they fired my first teacher for something that I believe was their fault. And then we got a second teacher who, she acted very immature. And she would, hang out with the young girls and let them do whatever they want. And that wasn't a good experience.
Right.
So I was disappointed. I did express that in your exit interview. I did express it. I also wrote a review that they were not happy about. But, when I left that school, less than a year later, we opened our own business, my mom and I, which was 3 blocks from the school. And my disappointment was that I invited the director and the teachers to come to the grand opening. And they never responded. And, they preach about how much they support the students after they leave, and they call and check on you, and they, support you. But I'm 3 blocks away, and they didn't come to the grand opening. They didn't call, and they never stopped by after that. And I felt very slighted by that. So yeah, I wrote a review that I wasn't happy with, and I truly wasn't happy with my education. I wasn't happy with, the amount of attention they give their students after you leave. And yeah, they did not like that very much. I did get a phone call from the director, and I spoke with her again about my disappointment, but I eventually took the review down.
Because you wanted to, or did you kind of feel pressured to?
I didn't feel pressured to. I took it down, honestly, because of karma. I was afraid of karma.
Yeah.
I was like, and it wasn't that I was writing something that wasn't true, because I did write something that was true. That was truly how I felt. But at the same time, I'm like, is this going to come back to haunt me later? So I took it down. I took it down like 2 weeks after talking to her, but I did not feel pressure from her to take it down at all. Yeah.
Would you, like, based off your experience and stuff, would you recommend Traci to any up-and-comers?
Based on my experience, I would say no.
Okay.
I go to a different school for my continuing education, and I've had a great experience there, and that's the school that I wish I would have gone to.
Yeah.
So I would recommend them. And yeah, unfortunately, I just didn't have the greatest experience at Traci. There are a lot of people that do, but not me.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you opened your first business 3 blocks away from Traci. What was that business? Like, what did you do? What was it called?
So it was called Uva Spa and Wine Boutique. Uva means grape in Spanish. And we were wine store, retail store, and a skincare salon. So we sold wine. We had a retail area to sell wine. We had a wine room that was sort of like someone's. It's like we wanted it to feel like someone's home, right? So it was like a dining room, and everybody hung out there, drank wine. We did our wine tastings back there. We did a lot of events there, and then we had 2 treatment rooms, and we offered facial services using skincare that had used the same grapes that you used to make wine in.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's
so
how
cool.
we pieced the 2 together.
Yeah.
So
wow.
grapes are very high in antioxidants,
Okay.
which is why it's such a good ingredient to put into skincare. And so, yeah, we did that.
Wow. So how long did Uva last for you?
We were there 5 years.
Okay. What made that come to an end?
So we had some issues with the building manager who changed the terms of our agreement, our contract, and we didn't agree with that. And I mean, honestly, we felt like they were trying to push us out to let someone else in for someone that they know. But in any case, we didn't agree with the contract, and we decided that we were going to close. And to reopen, it's such a huge investment to start it that we just didn't think that we wanted to invest that money to restart the business somewhere else.
Yeah. Especially because you have to get like a liquor license and
especially in like the city of Chicago, to get a liquor license is ridiculous. The amount of time that it takes, the amount of money that it is. We were in Harwood Heights, and it was way easier and less expensive to get a liquor license there. She did have to go in front of the board of Harwood Heights and talk to them because they only give out a certain number of liquor licenses, right? Because they don't want to be a town that is like just infested with liquor stores or whatever, right? So they were at their maximum. And so my mom had to meet in front of an entire board to explain the business. And once they heard what kind of business it was, they granted us the liquor license. So that was really cool.
Yeah, that's so fun.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about like doing something like that again?
I would love to. It was a fun time. I don't even drink wine. I don't even like wine, but I had to go to wine school to learn about wine. I had to do, and then when we brought wine in, we had to taste everything because we needed to learn. We needed to know how to talk to our customers about the wine, right? Yeah. And so I did a lot of wine tasting, hated every moment of it, but it was fun, like it was kind of fun too. It's funny because I don't like the taste of wine, but I love to go wine tasting, which is really weird. But it's just, I don't know, it's the experience, right? When you go to a place for wine tasting, it's the experience. We did experiences. We did monthly, what we called them grape escapes. And so every month we did like one time we did henna and wine tasting. We did acupuncture and wine tasting. We did vision boards and wine tasting. We did cigars and wine pairing. We did that one time to try to get men into our business. We did all these kind of fun activities. It was a great time. I would love to do that again someday. But the reality is I personally do not want to open a business like that. I don't want to manage people. I don't want to be responsible for paying all the bills, all of that. I at the age that I am, I think I don't want to do that anymore. But if my mom wants to do it, I'll work with her again.
So that business you did with your mom, right? And in the time that I've known you, you seem to have a very good relationship with her. Would you say that it was always that way?
Yes, always very close to my mom.
Yeah. You're not the only child, right?
No, I have a brother.
Okay. But are you the only girl?
I am the only girl.
Yeah. Do you think that's kind of why?
Maybe. I mean, she's really close to my brother too. She's just a great mom, like I'm very blessed to have had parents that were amazing. And my mom specifically, because I've worked with her for so long, because now remember I worked 19 years at the company that she worked at, and she left before I left, but she was there way before I was. She was there like 20 something years. So I worked with her all that time, not for her. I worked in a different department, but I saw her every day, and then she's also a creative. She works on the creative side. She's a graphic artist, a creative director, and I was on the finance side. So it was kind of really cool the way that we blended our expertise in business together to create Uva. It was her idea, the Spawn Wine Boutique, her idea, but she did that for me. Honestly, she did it for me. She was going to she had considered opening like a wine styles that's just pure wine. You know, you sign up for your monthly wine club or whatever. And then I was in school for aesthetics and she's like, what could we do together? And she came up, she saw in California, there was a retail store and spa that was all around wine, but nothing like that in Chicago. So it was her idea, and I know she did it for me. And yeah, so it went from there. So her and I are very close.
Yeah, I love that.
I do too.
So do you guys drink while working?
So I did not. If I knew I had clients, I would schedule wine tasting on a day that I wasn't going to have clients, or like at the end of the day, I'd try to push my clients early, and then at the end of the day, have time for the vendor to come in with his wine. So I did not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious, like how.
Yeah, I know. I know.
She's like,
yeah, I know. I'm like, oops, sorry, got it in your mouth. No, yeah. I was very, as much of a wild child as I was, I've become a very responsible adult, I would say. And so like, I want to give my clients the best, right? Because that's going to keep them coming back, right? And if I am not there completely and I don't give them an amazing service, why would you come back to me, right? Why you're going to give me a review? You're going to give me a review that says that I was drinking or whatever.
I remember this.
Did you see on my Yelp?
I remember that. No, I didn't see it, but I remember me and my mom came like that weekend that it
happened.
And
I was like having a meltdown.
Yes,
some crazy person left a lie, like said that they came to me for nails and that all I talked about was my problems and I had alcohol on my breath. And I was like, you like
Traci, when Traci's doing your nails, Traci really like you talk, but you're not really talking like. Yeah, like me and my husband are arguing. Like, no.
I listen to you guys and I interact. Like, I'm like, if anybody, I kept saying, oh my God, my clients, they know me, right? But what it gets me is that if someone doesn't know me and they look at my Yelp and they see that, like, and I did have a client come in after that and she was like, oh, I found you on Yelp. And I was like, oh no. And she goes, I know what you're talking about. And I was like, do you? And she's like, trust me. Reading all the other reviews, I knew that was a lie. I'm like, I hope everybody knows that's a lie because Yelp will not remove it. Even though the person says that they are not who the name on the account says they are, they won't remove it. I hate Yelp.
And did you contact Yelp?
Yeah.
To take it down?
I explained to them, I'm like, literally, this person is saying, because it's a guy's name that they're using, right? And I'm like, I've never had a mat. I've serviced one man since I've been here. I've serviced one man. His name wasn't Matt. And it was years before this review was left. And in the back and forth, he says, that's not my real name. So it's a fake account. So you, by your own terms, you should be taking it down. And they won't take it down. Well,
That's
not.
crazy.
Is this your Traci karma?
I know. I'm telling you. This is why. This is what I would like. Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
All these years later.
I so remember that too. And I remember you were like stressing over it. And I'm like, that is such BS.
I know. Oh my God. I get so mad. Especially because I was around liquor all the time and would be very conscious to not have any tasting scheduled before a client. And no, not even when it was like a friend who would come for a facial and I'd give them a taste and they'd be like, come on, have a taste with me. I'd be like, nah, after your facial, I'll do it. I just wouldn't, not even with my closest friends would I do it. So yeah.
People are crazy.
I know.
And if you want to talk shit, like at least say it to my face or put the name, like
tell me your real name.
Yes.
To do it behind a fake account.
I know. Like I'm trying, like, I really feel like this isn't someone who came to me because I would feel like someone who, like if you came to me, I would hope that if you had a bad experience, you would give me the chance to explain myself or to redeem myself, right? Because what business owner wants to offer a terrible experience, right? I want you to walk away going, I can't wait to come back. Like, I can't wait to come back to this girl. She was so good. That's what I want you to walk away. Because I wouldn't have business if you didn't walk away like that, right? So this person, if you really did have a bad experience with me, then tell me that. But I can guarantee you that I had no liquor on my breath and I was not sitting there telling you my life problems because especially if you're brand new, I don't even know you. I'm not going to tell you my life story. Like, no. Like,
and also this was when everyone was wearing masks. So even if
Yeah.
your breath did smell like licorice, they wouldn't smell it.
You know what? Honestly, the only thing I can remember that was a little weird, right, is I had a new customer come in. She never came back. But the day that she came in, she wanted a nail polish that was on the top shelf. And I got up on a step ladder. And when I went to come back down, I lost my footing and I literally fell, right? I hit my head on the table, like I fell.
Oh my God.
And she was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, I'm fine." I got up really quick. I was more embarrassed than anything. I was hurt, but I was more embarrassed than anything, right? And I finished her set, never saw her again. And the only thing I can think of is like, did this thing think I was drunk? And that's why I fell? Like, I don't know. But, and that's the only thing I can think of that was a little weird that happened around that time, right? But like, you didn't smell alcohol on my breath, that's for sure. In fact, you probably smelled gum, because for the most part, I always pop gum in my mouth before I'm working on somebody, you know? So, yeah. Stupid
Like,
milk.
Do you think that it was like maybe a competitor?
It could have been, but really, like, honestly, I'm such a small business. Really, like, to compete with me it's crazy. Like, it's like you're gonna win. I don't know what to say. Like, I mean, I just don't understand. I've never in this business come from a competitive aspect, or I just feel that the more that we build each other up together, the better we're all going to be, because there's enough clients for everybody. I'm sorry, we are in Chicago. There are a lot of people here and there are a lot of businesses here. If we work to build our business up, then the clients will come. Your clients are your clients, my clients are my clients. We have different clients because we have different personalities, right? You find your tribe. And I just think there's enough of that. So I have zero competitiveness in my body. And so to think that someone wants to be competitive with me, I'm just like, why? Like, why? Yeah. You could win. I don't care. Like,
we can all
I'm going to do me, you know? So yeah. If I'm playing a game, I'm competitive, right? Yeah. But like in business, not at all. Yeah, exactly. Like when I was at Sola Salons, there was this area there. It's a long hallway, and there's one hallway that goes this way. There's two hallways that go that way. But this one hallway had 3 estheticians. So when I went to go look at the place, he was like, "Oh, maybe you want this because all the estheticians can be in one place." And I was like, "No, I don't want to be around all the other estheticians, because when someone comes down this hallway, they're going to be like, where do I go? I'd rather be over here by myself, right?" And that's about as competitive as I am, right? That's it. I don't want to be around other ones. I'm going to be over here by this door. So I feel like prime real estate, I'm going to be over there. And thank God, because there were 2 of them that were super competitive. Like my client, they would approach my clients as they left the building to give them flyers for their business and offer them a discount. And my clients would come back and go, "Yeah, just so you know, this girl did this." And I'm like, oh my God. But there was one other girl there who was like me. We sat together and we would talk about business, and we would talk about things that we can do together. And her and I actually put on a whole bridal like expo at Sola Salons. We organized all of the people. We went to a dressmaker and she lent us bridal dresses. We bought models in. Everybody got all the hairstylists that wanted to participate and all the makeup artists that wanted to participate did the hair and makeup for these models. We had tables set up for DJs, for flowers, for baking, for everything that revolves around a wedding. And then people came in and you got to walk around, and we were hoping that it would help bring business to everybody. We weren't thinking about just us. We were thinking about everybody. So, that's my vibe, is like, let's get together. Let's talk about what we can do in this industry together to make it better, to make it bigger, and to help all of us, not just you, not just me, but all of us, because we'll all succeed. Girl power.
And you said this was at Sola Salon. When did you go there?
So when we closed UVA, I went right after UVA. The export over in Norwich opened up, and they were opening a salon there, a spa. So I applied there, hated it immediately. And I stayed just for like 3 or 4 months. I was there. And one of my clients who followed me there said, my hairstylist just moved to this place called Sola Salons. She's like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like a building that has a bunch of offices, and you rent an office and you could do your business in there. And I'm like, really? So I called, and that weekend they were having their grand opening. So the owner was like, why don't you come by, check out the grand opening and see what it's like? Like, okay. So I did, and it was amazing. I was like, this is great. So I'm a firm believer in manifesting things, right?
Yes.
And so I told my mom about it, and my mom's like, I don't know, going out on your own. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, you know what, Mom? I'm just going to talk about it like it's going to happen, right? I'm going to come up with a name. I want you to maybe help me come up with a logo. Like, I'm just going to pretend like this is happening. She's like, okay. So for like a month or two, I did that. I just pretended like it was going to happen. And then finally my mom's like, you know what? Let's go see this place. I want to see it. And I'm like, okay. So we go, and I show her. And when we left, she was like, do it. And I just need a green light from my mom. Still, I'm an adult, but when mom says I could do it, I'm like, okay.
No, same.
So she said, do it. I did it. I jumped in. I did it. We even had her best friend, who is also creative, and she's very into ideation. She helped me come up with a name. She put like this whole deck together of like 4 different business names, different logos. And it started as Ever After Skin Spa. That was the name of my business at Sola. And yeah, I just jumped right in. So I was at Export for like 4 months, and then I came right to Sola.
And then, so how soon or how long did you stay at Sola?
I was at Sola from 2014 to 2017.
And then in 2017 is when Elixir Beauty Bar came, right?
Yes.
So how did you transition from Sola to now your own?
So the way that I did that was the owners of Chic Couture, Sarah and Josie, they were also at Sola.
Oh, wow.
And a couple of the other girls that work here were at Sola as well. Josie and Sarah left to open up their own business, Chic Couture. They mixed both of their names and put it together. So I can't remember their individual names, but Chic Couture was a little bit of both of their business names. They opened down the block in a smaller space, and it was all hair. And then they did have a room for pedicures, and they did nails as well. Sarah's a cosmetologist, Josie's a nail tech and esthetician. And but she specializes in nails, but she loves skin too. So eventually they opened up here because they wanted to expand, and there was a room, and they asked me if I would be interested in coming over. And I came to look at the space, and I really felt better here. I love Sola salons. I think it's a great idea. But for me, I was hoping to expand my client base. And in that setting, because you're in these little individual rooms, you really don't get access to the other clients, right? But here I have more access to other clients, so it was easy. I felt like it would be easier to grow my business in this setting than at a Sola salon.
That makes sense, especially because like the floor plan here is pretty open for the most part. So like you can be walking, like when I come to see you, I'm like walking past, seeing everyone getting their hair done. I'm like, oh, let's see who I can find.
Right? And I walk around in my I wear an apron, and it has esthetician. So a lot of times a client will say to their hairstylist, oh, you have an esthetician here. And then they'll pull me over, and I'll talk to them, and I got a new client. So, I have more access here than I did at Sola.
So your mom's friend, is she the one that helped you come up with the name Elixir Beauty Bar?
No, actually, what's so funny is my husband did.
Really?
Yeah, we had just started dating too. And in the middle of me like making this transition from Sola here, and I was, he knew I was thinking of names or whatever. And I was on the phone with him. He was driving, and he passed by a bar that was called Elixir something. And he said it out loud, like, oh, there's a bar over here, Elixir, whatever. And I was like, Elixir. And I'm like, that's kind of a nice name for a spa, because like we're putting elixirs on your face. And it left me room. Like what I was trying to think of like what I want to do in the future at that time. And at that time thought that I wanted to make products. And so, I would be making elixirs, so I felt like the name fit where I was and where I wanted to go. So yeah, Elixir, it was because of him.
Oh my
husband. I know. I called my mom right away. I'm like, what do you think of Elixir? I'm like, she's like, where did you get that? I'm like, Rolando saw a bar.
So after you left Sola, you came to Chic Couture, and you started as Elixir Beauty Bar. What would you say were maybe some hardships that you faced when starting here?
I think when you move from any location, you're always worried about if your clients are going to follow you, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's kept me kind of in this area. When I started UVA, we were in Harwood Heights over by Harlem and Foster. And so moving to Park Ridge wasn't that much of a difference in travel for a lot of my clients, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes, you know, clients get used to going to a certain place. And with some place like Sola, right? Now they're walking through the halls and they're like, oh, maybe I'll get my hair done here too. And maybe I'll get my lashes done and my nails done. So now my client has become a client to several people. So when I moved, I'm like, are they going to come with me? Because now they're
like
over
one versus
they don't want to go to two places maybe, you know? So I think that for me was one of the biggest things, was like praying that my clients would continue to follow me through all my moves, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I'm really happy that I have clients still from 2010 that still see me. So that's amazing. Yeah.
I love
I
that.
know,
That
me
is
too.
amazing. So when moving here, what is maybe something that was easier than you thought it was going to be?
I think what was easier. I think just getting into I've never been in a salon atmosphere.
Okay.
Right? I went from school to to UVA, then to Sola by myself. And I never count export as part of my background because it was just a terrible experience. Don't ever work there. That's what I would say. For the spa, don't ever work there. But here I'm now in a salon, and I thought it was going to be overwhelming for me, and it wasn't. It was a smooth transition, especially because I knew 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the girls that were here. They were all at Sola at one point, so I knew 5 of them, and then the other girls were welcoming and sweet. So yeah, I didn't have a problem. I'm always anxious about that too, because I'm just I have anxiety being around new people. And so walking in and not knowing some girls gave me a lot of anxiety. But once I met them, everything was fine. Way easier than I thought.
So you moved to Chic Couture because you know the owners, and you rent a room here, correct?
Yes.
Do you prefer renting a room, or would you ever be open to moving like just solely by yourself somewhere?
I like renting a room. Again, I don't want to be at another Sola where I'm cut off from everybody, you know? I don't want to, I like the salon atmosphere. I'm going to say that. I like the salon atmosphere. I don't want to own my own place. I know that. I don't want to employ people, and I don't want to just be by myself either. I like having lots of people here. I love walking in and the salon is buzzing with people. So yeah, I like this atmosphere a lot.
That's good. Because you mentioned earlier that like when it came to Elixir, you wanted to make products at the time, and I know you've done like your body oils and your body butters and stuff. Is there anything else you have in the works maybe, or anything that you would like to explore more?
So I did I was really thrilled with making body products, but I will say that is an endeavor that requires a lot of additional time that I just didn't have. And so I had to give that up. So it was great. I love the experience. But yeah, it was a lot to start that piece of business off. So I give it kudos to everybody who does that. Where I see myself going is teaching. I really want to teach specifically nail art. I don't want to go to school and get licensed for teaching and teach students in a school, because I've experienced that setting and I don't really like it. I would like to teach nail techs that are coming out of school, because you don't learn that in school. You don't learn nail art, and nail art is such a big thing right now. And there's so many fun things that you could play with. And I want to teach people how to love that as much as I do. And so that's where I see my future. Like, I'm still always going to do skin. I still am always going to do nails, but I'd love to somehow incorporate teaching people who are passionate about nail art what I know.
Do you have a preference between skin and nails?
That's so hard to say, because I love both. Literally, I love both equally. I love when someone gets up out of the spa bed after getting a facial and they look in the mirror and they're like, wow, my skin looks amazing, you know, and I know that they feel good because I know how I felt getting a facial, you know. And when people come to me to get their nails done and they come back a couple weeks later and they're like, I got so many compliments, I'm like, oh my God, my heart is filled. Like, I love when people tell me they get compliments. I love when they tell me, I can't stop looking at my nails all day. Like, tell me more. Like, I love all of that. So both give me a lot of satisfaction.
Oh, I love that. I know when Michelle and I came and you did the facial on Michelle, raved about it for days.
Yay.
Like everyone that we saw after, Michelle would be like, how's my skin?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. See, I love that. I love to know that, you know, she felt good. I love to know that she enjoyed the experience and that, you know, she glowed.
Yeah, she loved it.
Good.
What is your favorite service that you provide?
Okay, so for skin, I will say I love to do dermaplaning. So that's where you take the blade and you kind of you kind of shave off, if you will, the dead skin sitting on the surface. And the good part about it, it also takes off the vellus hair that is on the surface of your face. So when you put your makeup on, it looks way smoother because all of that is off. But also we're taking off that dead skin on the surface. So anytime I do that service, like, it is an instant result. When you look in the mirror, you're going to see a difference. You're going to see brighter skin. You're going to see glowier skin. I love that service. And I think it's, an immediate reaction when you look in the mirror. So for skin, I will say that. And then for nails, is like, give me art. So, like, let me do fun stuff on your nails, you know, like all of it. So anytime I get to do nail art on a client, I'm very excited. But not French.
Traci, oh my God, every time I would come to see Traci, 9 times out of 10 it was some sort of French, and she'd be like, no, you gotta go.
I hate French. And she'd be like, oh, I guess what I want to do on my nails. Oh, French. And then it wouldn't different colors or whatever.
Even just be French. You'd be like, I want French with zebra print. I want French with zebra print. Like
animal print. We did the different animal print on it.
French nails. Each different animal print. Traci was like, girl.
And I love animal print, but the French kills me every time. So funny. But I love nail art, but I don't call French nail art. I call it a pain in my ass.
Would you say the dermaplaning and nail art, that's something you wish you could do more of?
Yeah, both.
Yeah. What is something you wish you maybe did less of?
Waxing. I hate waxing. I hate waxing. And this is why I don't do body waxing, because I just don't like it. I do just like brows and lip, sometimes like around the face or whatever. But I don't like waxing because I come from a place of like, I want to take care of you. And now I'm ripping, hair out, and that's not painful. Relaxing or not. Very nice. So I think that's why I'm not a fan of waxing, is because I want to take care of you. I want you to leave feeling like great. And I know that you'll feel great when your eyebrows are done or your armpits are hairless or whatever, but it's the pain that you go through. I don't want to be that person who causes you pain.
I've had Michelle wax my armpits, I think like 2 or 3 times. And every time I go through like the 7 stages of grief, I like have an anxiety attack. Like, I don't know how it's enjoyable to people.
It's not. Can I tell you a story about armpit waxing? So at Traci, my first teacher, Miss Teresa, used me as a model to teach the class how to wax underarms. So she waxed me. This was my first time getting waxed under my arms at all, right? God. It hurt terribly. Like, I literally had tears. I was like, oh my God, that's the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. Like, the next day, it is so red and irritated. It bled, by the way. And that's not unusual for it to bleed. But it bled more than I think is normal. And her reaction was like, like, you could see something was wrong, right?
Messed up.
The next day, it was hard putting my arms down. I was in pain. And like 3 days after that, I developed a scab this big under my arms. And I was telling her, I'm like, this is not normal. She's like, I may have lifted skin. I'm like, you lifted all of the skin, like all of it. Like like it's a scab like this big. It was terrible. So she used me as a model and taught everybody how not to do underarm wax. I'm like, I didn't sign up for that.
No.
So I never did that again because she has terrified me from ever waxing my underarms again. So,
oh my gosh.
And pedicures. Like if I never had to do another pedicure, I wouldn't be mad about it. That's another thing. I wouldn't be mad about it.
Yeah.
Even though I have clients that have nice feet, it's not
It's still
something
just
I love
feet.
to do. Yeah, it's not something I love to do.
Yeah.
So,
what would you say is the most rewarding part about your job?
I think especially with skincare is seeing change in people's skin, right? When oh my gosh, I remember this one client in particular, and the only reason that she comes to mind is because the way that I got her as a client is like amazing. So my daughter and my mother were out to eat brunch, and she was their waitress. And my daughter was someone who she struggled with terrible skin as a teenager, and I was in school to be an esthetician during this time that she was having really bad skin. So I was trying everything to fix her skin, and we finally got something down, and her skin was just beautiful. And this woman who was the waitress had really bad skin, and she kept coming to my daughter and going, your skin is just so pretty. And after like the third time of her commenting on her skin, she's like, my mom's an esthetician, she taught me all about taking care of my skin. And she was like, who's your mom? And so she gave her my information. The woman came in and I started treating her. And what works really well is when you have a client who is looking to fix their skin and is willing to do it, right?
Yeah.
Because you can come to me every 4 weeks and let me do a facial on you. But if you go home and do nothing for your skin, you're wasting money with me, right? You need to take care of your skin. And she followed the directions. So her skin, within, 6 months, we did a before and after, and the difference was amazing. And she was so thankful because, I think as women, we're always worried about how we look, right? All the time. And we want our skin to look good, especially in this age where, skin is a big thing with makeup. Your makeup's not going to look good unless your skin is treated, right? So it messes with your confidence when you can't put your best face forward. And so to see someone go from, not being very confident to all of a sudden having that confidence, like we did that, I'm not saying I did it. We did that because you're with your skin like 80% of the time, right? I'm only with your skin a little while, but we did this together. And man, that's for me very satisfying. Like I love that. So yeah, that's makes me feel really happy.
Do you have any client pet peeves?
Oh, when I read that question, I have been thinking about this, and I can't think of any pet peeves. Being late. That to me is the biggest pet peeve. It's like being late. And I think that would be it really. Like, or like someone, I don't know if this is a pet peeve, but like when a client comes in to get their nails done and they're like, yeah, and I want all of this nail art on all 10 nails. And it's like, you didn't book time for that. So then, but I want you to love your nails. So I try my best to do it. But then I make myself late for my next appointment trying to satisfy my client and what they wanted, So that's something that I have to get better at is letting my clients know, like, if you want extreme nail art, let me know that ahead of time so I can plan enough time for you. But yeah, I have great clients. I'm like really blessed. My clients are great. So like, a little late, whatever, we'll figure it out. But yeah, I don't really have any complaints. So yeah, I feel very blessed.
Are there any client horror stories maybe?
The only one is the one in school with the woman who came in with she looked as if she had not worn shoes and walked on like really bad cement for her whole life. There was so much dead skin buildup on her feet, and I felt helpless, right? Because again, I come from a background of wanting to nurture and help, right? And I can't help you. Like if you're not helping yourself, I can't help you. Like if you're not taking care of your feet, I don't know what to do. And I was a student at the time, which made it even worse because even then I couldn't figure it out. So yeah, that would be the worst story I have is that, and again, thank God that I don't really have that bad
you
stories.
I know. Do you feel that the recent economic changes, it's like inflation, it's a hard time for everyone. Do you think that has affected your clientele in a way?
It has. I think it has. I feel like even since going back to 2020, right? I feel that, and then since 2020, the inflation has been really bad. You know, we're in an economic crisis right now. People are, they're spreading their time, right? Where my clients used to come every 4 weeks for facial, now they're coming maybe every 6 to 8 weeks. When they used to come in every 2 weeks for their nails, they're coming in maybe every 3 or 4 weeks instead. So they're still coming in, but they're taking more time in between, right? So yeah, but yeah, I do feel that there is a difference.
Yeah. Do you take that into consideration when it comes to pricing? Like, how do you ensure that like you're getting paid what you're worth without also feeling like, oh, maybe people won't be able to afford this? Or do you ever take that into consideration?
That is the struggle, right? Because I do want to get paid what I should, right? Like any person, whether you're doing nails, whether you're working in finance, whether you're working at a car dealership, whatever, you want to make sure that you're getting, that you can live, right? And you need clients, because we only get paid when we have a client, right? In this industry. So you need clients to continue to come in. So you need to remain competitive while still not feeling bad about what you're charging, right? Still being able to live your life. So when I came up with my pricing, I came up with my pricing before 2020. I've done one increase since then. I haven't given myself a raise in 3 years. I think most people get a raise every year, cost of living raise every year. I haven't given myself a raise in 3 years, right? In the want to be able to not scare off my clientele, right? But I'm cheating myself, right? I'm cheating myself. But it's hard because clients are finding it more difficult to come up with the money to do things in the beauty industry, because it isn't a necessity, it's a want, right? And so when you're deciding, do I need to feed my family or do I need to get my nails done? You know, your family is going to come first. And I totally agree with that. So yeah, it has been a struggle to get my pricing to where I think it should be, but I'm comfortable right now. I'm due for a raise. I'm just not sure when I'm going to do it.
How do you feel when it comes to tipping?
So, you know, tipping isn't a requirement, right? Tipping is something, and I think in America it's gotten out of control, right? Like I heard that some Targets, when you're checking yourself out, are asking if you want to leave a tip, and I'm like,
no way.
Yes, I saw this online somewhere, and I'm like, tip who? Myself? Like I checked myself out. Like I don't understand. You know, in the service industry, in the beauty industry, and I think, I don't know about hair because I don't do hair, but I know nails and skin. My prices are priced at what I think is fair, right? If I do a good job I do such a good job that you want to tip me, then I'm very grateful for it. I'm not mad if you don't. Honestly, I'm not mad if you don't. I appreciate when you do, but I'm not mad if you don't. Yeah.
So my friend Jenna, she just became a certified esthetician in the spring. What is any advice that you would give to her or any other estheticians that are coming up and looking for a way to navigate that?
So I think the best thing you can do is always be authentic, right? In this industry, what I found that works for me is personal connection with my clients. I thrive on that. I love that. All of my clients, and you know, like we have a relationship. We become friends. We get to know each other's families. We get to know each other's jobs. We get to know each other's like ups and downs. Like I listen to people. I mean, they tell me all the time, like, you're cheaper than a therapist. I'm going to come and get my nails done. And, you know, and I listen to all of my clients, and that's how we establish a personal connection. So I think personal connection with your clients is so important, because I've been to places where I'm ushered in and out and there's no personal connection, and I don't feel like I need to come back to you. Like, I don't feel like I want to help you because we didn't get a personal connection. I feel like when you establish a personal connection and you do good work, they're going to want to support you. They're going to want to come back to you. I mean, I would never expect that you and your mom would continue to come to me after moving 2 hours away, but you guys did come for a long time. And to me, every time that you guys came in, I was like, my God, they traveled 2 hours to get their nails done. Like, that was so meaningful to me, you know? So like, those kinds of things and I truly feel that not only I feel like I did a good job, but I also feel that the personal connection helped with that,
Absolutely.
And, right?
I mean, you saw us through everything. You
Mhm.
did my mom's wedding
Wedding
nails.
nails.
Like
I
you
mean,
did
oh my
like
God,
all
I'm so
like
happy.
yeah.
So like
Yeah.
that personal connection is, I think, the most important thing to getting clients and maintaining that client base.
For sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. How about like any advice when it comes to I don't know, finding a place or like a location to base themselves in?
So, what has been ingrained in me is location, location, location. Make sure you're in a location that has high visibility, that has a lot of people. It's hard to go into like a neighborhood in this little hidden alcove because people are not going to know you're there. You need to be somewhere that's visible. So make sure that you're going someplace that's like on a main street that has parking, that, maybe a lot of walking because people that walk are going to see your business. So yeah, paying attention to location and making sure it's a highly visible place, I think, is important.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Traci, thank you so much for spending the day with us and letting us take over Chic Couture for today.
Thank you.
Is there anything you want to shout out? Where can the people find you?
So you can find me at Chic Couture in Park Ridge at 153 Northwest Highway. And on Instagram, you can find me at Elixir Beauty Bar, and you can make an appointment through the link that's on there.
Yes. So if you have any skin needs or nail needs, don't be afraid to check Traci out. She's amazing.
Thank you.
And yeah, stay tuned for more guests and more stories to tell. Thank you guys so much for diving in with us today, and we'll see you next time on Diving Deep with me, Des.
Bye.